Welcome to the Detroit Lions News Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Chapp, along with my co-host, Tyler. Tyler, listen, we got a lot to talk about with these people because there's a lot of things that have happened today, yesterday. Obviously, the Carolina game. I want to get your thoughts on that. So we'll start with that. Like, what were your thoughts on the Carolina game? Because it was interesting because I was there. It was a loud crowd. I thought the Lions played their ass off. And that Aiden Hutchinson interception was absolutely freaking balls to the wall. Just awesome.
Yeah, no, it from watching at home, it looked like it was super electric. It was super fun. It's kind of the ass beating I was kind of talking about that we needed as a team. Like I think my prediction was like 38-10. They ended up scoring late. They had a DJ Chark touchdown pretty late. But outside of that, that's just, you can't really count that. That's just garbage time, bullshit. But no, it was overall, it was a great game, and we kept our foot on their necks the entire time. You can tell that you can finally tell the difference between like a rebuilding team and a team that can say that their rebuild is over. Like it's like pretty apparent, and it was. I guess you didn't really notice the polarity between the two until you actually see it firsthand as like a fan of the team. It's like, oh damn, like they never really stood a chance. And like I don't really remember a time where we can necessarily really say that about a lot of our Lions teams, because so many times we've not been able to like really like make our mark and put our stamp on it. But like we came out here and we looked like the dominant team all four quarters.
Yeah, and I thought they played really, really good, and it was interesting because Pro Football Focus named them. If I could get this out here, it's coming up right now. No, it's not. What the hell's going on? All right, the Pro Football Focus named it the offensive line of the week, so that's interesting to note. Obviously, why is it not coming up for me?
It's and in the
I
top
hit
corner, it said scheduled still in the top corner. I don't know if that's just that's just a.
Right there. Yeah, it says O line of the week. It says the offensive line had another nice outing in their win over the Panthers. You can't read it, but they were offensive line of the week, so that's all you need to know. So it's good to know. PFF does a pretty damn decent job. I mean, there's some things I don't like about PFF. I think sometimes their grades are a little bit outlandish, but for the most part, they do a pretty damn good job. Obviously, Dave Montgomery played his ass off. So,
hey, and with those recent comments with Campbell, man, it just goes to show that like this dude is really into David Montgomery, and he likes that workhorse, like bell cow kind of guy. And you're probably going to see plenty of David Montgomery with 18, 19, 20, 25 carries a game type of games. That's just looking like how the season's going to go.
Yeah, Dave Montgomery is going to get a lot of play. I think that they paid him for a reason. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get in there eventually. He's going to make plays. But I think that with Jahmyr Gibbs out, and now, Donovan Knight was out. And to this injury report today that came out today was not really the greatest news for Detroit Lions fans if we look forward to Tampa Bay. So you got Brian Branch, ankle, no practice today. Jahmyr Gibbs, no practice. Jonah Jackson, no practice. Donovan Knight, no practice. Sam Laporta just got an injury report today. So that is interesting to note. It's a calf injury. He was no practice today. We'll see what he is tomorrow. James Mitchell, no practice. We obviously know Emmanuel Mosley is out with the no practice. And then Frank Ragnow was no practice today either. Full practice, Khalil Dorsey, Taylor Decker, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it's a good thing that you're getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back, but at the same time, it's like you're losing a guy like Sam Laporta who's huge to your team.
Was there no designation for Vitae?
He's not on there, so that's
that's good. That's good then, right? That's not positive.
Yeah, there's no Vitae, so Jonah Jackson being a no practice is a little bit worrisome because you're going to need him against Vita Vea. So hopefully he practices tomorrow, but if he doesn't, Vitae can step in, and then you have Graham Glasgow on the other side. Hopefully you can kind of just mitigate a disaster because I love Jonah Jackson. I think he's a great guard, but if you miss him in this game, it's already gonna. I'm already scared about this game as it is, to be honest. Like, if we're being totally honest with each other, I'm kind of scared about this game against Sunday with Tampa Bay because like if you just like look at Tampa Bay, like here you go with Tampa Bay. To get to know Tampa Bay, their offense is ranked 20th in the league in points per game. Their rushing attack is at the bottom of the barrel, so they're not going to run the ball in Detroit. They're 14th in passing, so 214 yards a game. Defensively, they're a really good team. They get takeaways, they get turnovers, they keep you hemmed in on points. They were 8th in the league, 17 points per game. Rushing 94.8. That goes to that whole Vita Vea, all that stuff. And then passing, they're 16th in the league. But the one thing about the passing number that isn't shown on this chart right here, if I can go to the other chart, if you go to the other chart, which I don't know, it's going so slow. If you go to the other chart, one of the things that they do really, really well, right here, the red zone efficiency, they are second in the league in red zone efficiency. Third down defense, that's where you can get them. Their takeaways, they're 5th in the league, so they get some takeaways. But when we look at this game against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like there's a lot of things that scare me about this team. And I know Mike Evans is limited in practice today, so that's a good thing because I think Baker Mayfield, when he has Mike Evans, he likes to throw it up to him. And I just don't want to see Jerry Jacobs up against Mike Evans. I would hope that Cam Sutton follows him around. But if you have to have one player that, like a Chris Godwin, if he's their only hope, then that's a good thing for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and we gotta hope that like their momentum comes, because someone's momentum is going to come to a halt. I mean, both teams, they're 3-1, we're 4-1. They are coming off of a bye week, so they're fresh.
Yeah.
There is definitely a game that we could lose. Do I think that necessarily we're going to? Not necessarily. I mean, I'm not like shivering my boots over the Buccaneers, but they're an often team that is often overlooked. They have a good defense. Their offense has been clicking, and they've got like receivers. I mean, their receivers are very talented. It's definitely, I feel like a big part of this game is going to hinge on whether Mike Evans plays. If Mike Evans does not play, we definitely have a good edge there. If he does play, then they're always going to be a kind of a hard offense to stop. Baker Mayfield is hitting his stride. He is doing much better. Mike Evans is just a dog, bro. Like that guy is like running his way to the Hall of Fame. And so we're going to do what we can, but like, this is one of the games where, if we're not careful, and we don't keep this a close game, like this team, the Buccaneers, they do have the ability to kind of take control of games. They've showed early this year. And so I just hope that, I think our best bet right now is just to make sure that we stay efficient and we don't fall off the rails. But again, 4-1 right now, it's not the end of the world if we do lose a game here or there, because it's going to happen this year. Like, it just is going to. We're not obviously going to win the rest of our games. But this is a very winnable game, but it's also a losable game. So this is one of those that are kind of 50-50, kind of a toss-up. But I'm liking how our momentum is, and I'm liking how we're feeling. Our team is like full of swag right now. So I'm really I'm saying let's ride this momentum, man. Like we said in last pod, let's get a win streak going.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about with this game in particular is, number one, they get takeaways. But the one thing that you can kind of hedge your bets on is that they're a cover 3 team. They play cover 3 a lot. If I can go to it, I don't know which one it is. Where is it? All right, I can't. I think I'd forget. I think I lost it. But anyways, they're a cover 3 team. One of the things that Goff does really well is he throws against us cover 3. He's one of the best quarterbacks against cover 3. St. Brown is also one of the best wide receivers against cover 3. So you're getting him back. That'd be really, really good. But I have a bad feeling about this game. I really do. I can't say it enough. Like, the Buccaneers are a really good team. They have some really good talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball with Levante David, Devin White, Vita Vea, Shaquille Barrett, Carlton Davis. They have a good team, so it's not like I'm blowing smoke up the ass of people. It's kind of like I feel more like kind of reluctant on this game compared to Baltimore, because Baltimore is going to come coming to next week's game, and they're going to be coming from Europe. So that's going to be a hard kind of transition. I think that's something to monitor too.
Well, and you got to remember too, like this Buccaneers defense is pretty much the Super Bowl winning defense they had just a couple years ago. I mean, they lost a couple guys, but not like a ton. They kept a majority of their core. So yeah, I mean, this is a defense that you got to worry about. A lot of these guys they have experience playing with one of the best quarterbacks of all time. They've got experience in the playoffs. They've got experience deep into the season. They've got experience in the Super Bowl. So this is just a very good veteran, experienced team. They're, like I said, like you said, it's kind of one of those ones where you kind of are kind of iffy about. So I think the injuries on both sides of the ball, I think honestly the healthier team wins. Yeah, I mean that is definitely something that the healthier team is going to come out on top, and they're going to find a way to make it happen. So if we can get a few guys that can rest up Friday, Saturday, and suit up Sunday, it's going to help us big time.
Muted.
Yep.
He says both of you are still thinking with your hearts. This team will find a way. I'm not thinking with my heart. My heart would say the Detroit Lions are going to win this game. My realistic standpoint is that they are playing a tough team in Tampa Bay who can exploit some weaknesses that the Detroit Lions have. And if Sam Laporta can't go, if a guy like, let's say like a guy like Jonah Jackson can't go, Vita Vea is a really tough customer to block. So that's what I worry about with the Detroit Lions. I think that's the biggest thing to worry about with this Detroit Lions team because, like I said, this is the game I circled on the calendar when it started. I said that's going to be a tough game. I know that there's going to be a lot of Lions fans in Tampa Bay, but I still think that they should be good.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I still think that the way I look at this, right, and I view the season is like a lot of us predicted 12-5, 11-6, a lot in that range, some 13-4, like that's kind of the range that a lot of us were predicting. So like we're 4-1 right now. We're gonna lose some games from time to time. It's gonna happen. It's just, and that's what we're trying to do and look at is, me and you had the same record of 12-5. That was our guess. So there are going to be 4 other times this season where we may feel confident and we just may fall short, and that's okay because I still think our schedule is one of the most favorable schedules in the league. I don't see how we lose to Las Vegas. I don't see how we lose to Denver. I don't see how we lose to the Bears. I don't see how we lose to the Packers or the Vikings. Like, we might go undefeated in our division for the first time, and I don't even know how long. I mean, typically there's always, some team will always randomly split with, like, the Bears may get lucky or the Vikings may get lucky, but we're dominating these guys. So our schedule is super, super favorable, but, a couple of those teams on there that we may have to worry about are, like, the Buccaneers, and like the Ravens, even though they're going to be coming back from Europe. And then, obviously in the beginning part of the year, it was Chiefs and Seahawks that we were worried about, but we narrowed one out with the Chiefs. And of course, Aaron Glenn's buddies, the Seahawks, they freaking spanked our asses again, but that's okay. Because the schedule is going to have 5 or 6 losses in it. That's just the name of the game.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's something to look at. I mean, I think that back half of the schedule, I think the winning percentage for that is like 397. So when you talk about a team that has a favorable schedule going down the mark, that's the schedule. Because you're playing teams like Denver, you're playing teams like Chicago twice, you're playing the Minnesota Vikings, who we don't know what the Minnesota Vikings are going to be. Let's be honest. Like they could make some trades and turn their team around. Where'd you go?
Trying to fix this crap on my stupid computer, but my internet doesn't like to cooperate.
It ain't working. Just...
We're experiencing some.
So yeah, like you said it. You said it right. Like you said it about the schedule.
Annoying.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Just go on. Just go on. All right. So yeah, someone said you're forgetting about Dallas. I do put Dallas in that category too as well. I think um I think Dallas is going to be a tough team to play against, obviously. But if you look at it from the realistic standpoint, I don't respect Dak Prescott at all. Like I said in the last podcast, Dak Prescott is booty juice. So I don't care about the Dallas Cowboys. I know they got Micah Parsons. I know they got, uh, well, they lost Trayvon Diggs, so that doesn't count. But I know that they got players, but I just don't respect the Dallas Cowboys. I really don't. So
There's something that you guys got to realize too is that um as long as Jerry Jones is GMing and managing that team, they will not win in the playoffs. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. They're not going to go far. Jerry Jones does not manage that team very well. And I'm sorry for all you Cowboys fans out there. They are flukes. They are frauds. I cannot stand the Cowboys. I think they're always overhyped. And, you're going to have another 3 or 4 years of Micah Parsons is going to be asking out. CeeDee Lamb's not going to get, he's going to be asking out. And then you're going to be stuck with an aging Dak and a bunch of no-name has-beens. The Cowboys are in a rough spot. Someone else said the next 3 games on the road are going to be a big determining factor in things, and I totally agree because the way that these games go, I mean, road stands are going to tell us everything we need to know. I mean, they really are. Jared Goff splits on the road versus home are night and day.
Well, these next 3 road games are going to tell you a lot about this team because you go to Tampa Bay, you go to Baltimore, which that's always a tough place to play, and Baltimore is a tough team to play. And then you go to LA. Now, the thing I would say about these 2 games, Tampa Bay and LA, potentially you could have a home field advantage there. Because we know that Detroit fans travel going to LA. We know that Detroit fans there's a lot of transplants in Florida, especially the Tampa Bay area. So I think that there's a chance that you could have a Lions crowd at Tampa Bay and in LA. So that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, I mean, with us gaining momentum too, we're kind of like gaining some bandwagoners too, right? So like, there's gonna be times where we go and to these games, and we're gonna have our own crowd and our own cheering section, and we're gonna have people that are rooting for us. Bay Ray said, "I'll be in LA,
Big Ray's gonna be in. Yep. So that's what I'm saying. Like, these fans are gonna travel to Tampa Bay because there's probably fans in Tampa Bay from Michigan. And then LA, obviously, they don't have a home field advantage. The Chargers never have a home field advantage in LA. They just don't. So Lions fans travel, and they're going to go.
It surprises me that the LA still continues to field football teams because, like, dude, they have statistically some of the, like, worst attendance and, like, the worst fan bases. They're a big, they're basketball over there. And, like, even when the Rams won the Super Bowl, dude, they still have one of the lowest attendance of any team in the league. It's so weird. Like, and they still want to market it because it's LA. It is what it is.
They want to market LA, but I can tell you probably in 10 years, I think the Chargers are going to be back in San Diego. That's my opinion. I think they're going to go play where the San Diego State University plays. That's what I think.
Be cool.
All right, so Steve says Vikings are tanking. Obviously, Jefferson faked an injury to sit out the rest of the season.
Damn,
possibly
Steve.
move Cousins. Now they could move Cousins. That we're gonna talk about all the trades that could happen. Obviously we're gonna get to that, but what I first want to get to before we get to all that, because we got a lot to get to. I want to go over a couple things. This is on JMO. Ben Johnson said this about JMO today. Let me. Yeah, it's freezing up. Oh, okay. So this is what Ben Johnson said about JMO today. He said Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson said the biggest issue with Jameson Williams is that they haven't been able to stack good days on top of each other since his arrival. However, he also said he has no problem with where he's at right now and said that's where right now or where he's going. To me, that's a little bit worrisome to me. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not a big I'm not a big jump to conclusions about JMO. I posted that poll on Detroit Lions News saying, "Are you concerned about JMO? Or are you not concerned? Do you think he's a bust?" Now there was 3% that said he was a bust, so we know that's a vocal majority. But for the most part, a lot of people think that they're not really concerned. Now, when Ben Johnson says something like that today, it kind of concerns me a little bit because I was about to make a video. I was going to post a video tonight about how I wasn't concerned about JMO. When Ben Johnson says this, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and I think that it's like, and I'm in the same boat. I try not to be like worried or upset about some of these things, or try to look into too much of what these guys say, because the media likes to twist everything, especially coaches and what they say, and people like to nitpick it and this and that and the other. Um, but I do personally, I mean, I can see how it could be viewed as concerning, but I also almost see it as Ben Johnson just trying to be optimistic about, hey, look, we haven't been able to really focus and really be able to stack these days. And when we do, things are going to be dangerous. Things are going to be, hard to stop, and he's going to be, get better. And I know there's a level of optimism that these guys have to say and things that they have to abide by, through the media or through their team. And, you have to tread water carefully. But, um, you know, I think that with everything going on with him being hurt, and then with him getting suspended, and just him being away from the team, they haven't really had an opportunity for the days to even stack. So I'm just hoping that this is one of those cases where, he's just saying it hasn't really happened yet, but it's coming along. With him finishing it up, saying that he's not worried about where he's at or where he's going, is positive. But then you're wondering, like, is he just saying that to save face and to not throw the guy under the bus? I guess we'll see. So we'll kind of have to see what goes on there.
Now, Steve also says, would you trade JMO for CD Lamb straight up? And I wouldn't. I don't like CD Lamb at all. I think he's kind of a me person. So I wouldn't do that. Now, one comment I really want to get to, because this is something that I think a lot of people are getting to, or they're at least alluding to, is it says, should the Lions pick up Sue, some more defensive help like Sue? And to me, I don't know about you, Tyler, but I'm not willing to really pick up Sue. I know you have some guys that you would really like to see. I have some guys that I really like to see. Obviously, we have to be realistic with our expectations, because this whole Max Crosby rumor mumbo jumbo, it's a total like realistic kind of thing. It's kind of funny because like it's kind of like that one trade offer that was being floated around about Isaiah Buggs and what was it? Who was it that they were floating around? Isaiah Buggs for Chris Jones. That was a trade that people were floating around, this Isaiah Buggs for Chris Jones. Max Crosby's not going anywhere, so we can quit that right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some guys that I guess I could like. I would absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Who the hell would not love Max Crosby to Detroit? It would take multiple first round picks, probably a player or two. Max Crosby's value right now is probably almost as high as anyone in the league, when it comes to like a trade partner, right? He doesn't have a crippling contract, and he's super talented. And obviously, with him going to Eastern Michigan,
Well,
there's some Michigan ties.
his contract is pretty big, so
It's
he does
big,
have a
but the
pretty
way
big
that things are
contract.
going,
But
and the payments that the money that people are going to get for premium positions, like I still think at like in another 3 years, his contract isn't going to be viewed as this albatross. You know what I mean? Because he's still young and he's still producing at a high level. But I think there's a few guys that I could definitely see as some realistic options in a way. So if we're gonna talk like edge rusher, because I think we still need another edge rusher. Like on the real high end of the spectrum, you're gonna look at like Chase Young, Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns. So any one of those three, Chase Young, Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns, I'd absolutely love that. Is it realistic? I don't know. But if you're talking about a guy on the higher end of the spectrum that could be an awesome edge rusher opposite Aiden, those are the first three that are coming to my mind. I know there's a couple other guys that people wanted here, like Ed Oliver and a couple like bigger run stuffing DTs. Um, I think that a trade at some point this year is imminent, but based on Brad Holmes, I don't know if there's going to be any like wow, like big splashes that you would expect him to make because he hasn't really done that at all, like during his tenure.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You froze up, I think. But yeah, that's some trades I would make. There's some. I mean, obviously, I'd like a guy like Dante Jackson. That's one of the guys I would really like to go get. I know people like Brian Burns. I think he could be pretty damn good. But I'm not really sure who is on the trade block right now because we still have so much, kind of
Yeah,
like back and forth between like who's going to be trading, actually selling. We know the Broncos are going to be selling, and I really don't think they're going to sell Patrick Surtain. But if they do, you kind of have to put in a call for that. But for the most part, like we just don't know who they're going to put in. Who's going to be a seller at the deadline? And
yeah.
I totally think that they should push back the deadline because you don't really know who's going to be a seller and who's going to be a buyer at week 8. There's a lot of things that could happen. And I think that that was one of the things that was pushed out was that they want to push back the deadline because there's like a team like Detroit. They sold TJ Hawkinson, which was great for Detroit, but they ended up going on a run, and that's some things that can happen. But most of the time, when you sell off pieces, you're not expecting to go on a runner like that.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you there. I think that I think it's evident that we do need corner help. There was some stuff I sent to you the other day regarding Jerry Jacobs and some of his stats. He is a very serviceable CB3, but we can't just have Cam Sutton and Jerry Jacobs and company. Like we've got to get somebody in there that can play. I mean, it's gone okay so far, but as the length of the season goes on, like you need to have somebody that can step in there and play a serviceable role. I mean, Cam Sutton has been amazing. I was really, really looking forward to the return of Emmanuel Mosley, and obviously he went down with another injury, torn ACL in the other knee. Prayers for his recovery. I hope he, recovers and probably won't be on this team next year just because, I mean, back-to-back ACL injuries like that, it's kind of hard to give a guy like that money.
Yeah.
But, I'm hoping that someone can step in and be serviceable. And I agree with you. It's going to be hard to see because I think there's like quite a few teams that have bad records that aren't bad teams, and there are
Yeah.
bad-ish teams that have good or okay records. So it's like, it's hard. So I think I honestly think this trade deadline will be one of the slower trade deadlines we've probably seen in a long time. That's just like estimate on my part.
I think it could be a slow trade deadline. I think that I really don't I think people are hyping it up to be bigger than it is. I think like all the talk about Patrick Surtain to Detroit or Max Crosby to Detroit or some of those guys, like it's just not realistic, honestly, because if you're from the Broncos perspective, why the hell would you give up Patrick Surtain? If you're the Raiders perspective, why would you give up Max Crosby, knowing who's in your
Right.
division, the two quarterbacks, Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes? You're gonna have to get after them. The
Well,
only team that I can potentially see what
oh, sorry. There's this, like I said, this lag is kind of screwing with us. I was going to say we kind of saw something similar last year with the Panthers about how like why would they get rid of Derek Brown or Brian Burns if they're rebuilding because they're two young like cornerstones. Like if you're rebuilding and you have Patrick Surtain who's like what 22, 23, like he's going to be the
yeah,
center of your rebuild. Like why are you going to ship him off? That doesn't make sense. So like you have
you're
to think
not like
logically about,
it would be it would be totally irresponsible to do it. Now there's two teams I think that are going to be selling at the deadline. It depends on what happens this week for the Vikings. I think the Vikings could be a seller. But I also think the Panthers could be a seller because they traded that first round pick and they don't have a first round pick right now. So do they ask a first round pick for Brian Burns, who they have to pay a contract to? That's the question that people should be answering. Is like, if you're comfortable and if you think this Detroit Lions team is good enough, do you throw a first round pick at the Carolina Panthers and say, give us Brian Burns and we'll take him? Or do you say, give me Brian Burns for a first round pick and give me Dante Jackson for about a fourth round pick?
Yeah, I mean that would be I wouldn't mind that. The only thing that sucks is like for the Panthers is like they could have done this last year or the year before and gotten a king's ransom from Brian Burns. And so like trading a guy like right before he has to get paid big money kind of sucks. But depending on where we're at, I mean,
Yeah.
if we're serious about making a run and we have to compete against guys like the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles and we want to make a serious run this year and we're like, hey, we're all in, then yeah, I mean, that's what good teams do, right? I mean, the Rams didn't have a first round pick, I swear, for like 6 straight years, but they went to the Super Bowl twice in that 6 year span
Yeah.
and they won it once. I mean, that's just how you build teams. Like you can't always build through the draft. Like you do have to go out and get your premium picks and your premium guys, and you have to sometimes give away those first rounders. Les Snead is like, was really, really important in Brad Holmes' development. And that guy was like, you get a first round pick, you get a first round pick, you get a first round pick. The dude was Oprah out there giving away first round picks. But they
That's
they
what
they got the ring.
that's what I think about it. Like, I mean, if you think you're serious about being a contender, I mean, you got to take advantage of the Carolina Panthers right now because they are at a point in time where they need a first round pick. They just do. They traded their first round pick to move up to get Bryce Young, which doesn't look as great, but they didn't insulate him with any guys. Like last week I was watching, and the fact that you're thrown to an old Adam Thielen, the fact that you're thrown to DJ Chark, like that was just malfeasance on the Panthers'
Hayden
perspective.
Hurst, like an old Hayden Hurst.
Right, like you're throwing to guys that really just like they're not helping the development of your young quarterback. Now
Right.
I do like Jonathan Mingo, their wide receiver, who put that hit on Aiden Hutchinson, which that scared the hell out of me. I'm not even gonna lie. That hit that he took, Aiden Hutchinson, the hit that he took,
Yeah, smacked him right
that
in the
scared the
hip
hell.
with helmet to hip.
Dude, that was such a hard hit. Like you don't even know. But right now, right here, I think you could seriously say, like, if you're being serious, that there's one team I can say should be sellers, and that's the Carolina Panthers. Do they sell Brown? Do they sell Burns? Who do they sell? Because if they want to recoup that first round pick, that'd be an easy way to recoup it. Um, or if you're, like Denver, like I hear Jerry Judy's on the block. I know we don't have any interest in that, but like Frank Clark is on the block. So is Denver saying that they're going to sell too? So
I, I
be an
think Denver's
interesting
one
thing.
of the teams that are like very obvious sellers right now.
Yeah,
Something's gonna have to happen within these next couple of years. Like there's just you can already tell that there's like Sean Payton Russell Wilson pairing is just not gonna work at all. Like and hearing some of the things that Marshawn Lynch has said, like regarding Russ and how he handles himself and like how the aura was with the Seahawks, like it's kind of opened up my eyes and like made me realize that like Russ seems kind of like a bad teammate and kind of like not a like guy I'd want to play with. I mean, he's putting up good stats, but like I just don't think this is necessarily going to be a good pairing. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Broncos, and that could benefit the Lions because the Broncos look like they're ready to blow it the hell up and just they've been in like this weird purgatory too for like however many years where they're like trying to stay good and relevant. So they're like buying these pieces and picking these guys and like trading for these guys. But it's like they need to do what the Lions did and they need to just tear it the hell down and they need to restart from the ground up and just figure it out. But teams that are obvious sellers like that, because could obviously there's going to be teams chomping at the bit to get some of those guys. Um, so like championship contenders, you're going to have the Kansas, the Chiefs and the Eagles and maybe the Lions and the Bengals and the Chargers. These guys that are trying to like the Bills that are trying their best to like contend and compete. They're going to be like vultures, man, picking at these sellers and these like poor teams to try to poach any kind of talent that they can get. So it'll be an interesting market because I do think the seller teams are few and far between right now. But
this is what I agree with right here.
I
See,
100% agree with that too.
Mike Fisher said Seattle success was all Pete Carroll, and he made Russell look better than he is. Yeah, so Mike Fisher said Seattle success was all Pete Carroll. He made Russell look better than he is. I totally agree with that 125%. Because if you look at what he's doing with JMO, not JMO, Geno Smith, it's not it's like totally opposite.
The weird part is that like Russell Wilson isn't playing bad. He's actually playing very good. He's got 11 touchdowns. He's only got 2 interceptions. His passer rating is over 100. He's not playing bad, but it's like the fact that you can't pair him up and gel him with a team like Marshawn was saying in the recent interview that I saw is that like he always like had special treatment, or he was always above the rules, or he had guys that like weren't allowed to talk to him. I remember them saying like, oh, if you want to say anything or talk to Russ, like you have to just go through the coaches or talk to me, like don't go up and talk to this guy. Like he just like always put himself on such a pedestal, and he was kind of basically saying that like when a player does that, the other players around you like grow to resent you as a player. So I think Russell Wilson's still talented, but I don't think he's a good teammate, and I don't think he's a good leader, and I don't think you can like he's not so talented that makes up for the shitty teammate that he is.
Donald says we have to start getting the ball to JMO. He's never going to live up to expectations. Throwing the ball twice. Let the men stretch those legs out.
Sounds
Here's
like
what
me
I'll say
last
about
week.
JMO. You cannot expect JMO to be the best wide receiver he is. If he runs. You're cutting out. So he's got to be able to run the right routes. They got to trust him. Jared Goff's got to trust him. This team's got to trust him. And if they do, he'll be a good player. But for the moment, JMO is going to have to prove himself more than he has, because this is I like JMO a lot. I do. I think that Geno is just he's a good JMO is a good player, but ultimately what you're trying to do with JMO is you're trying to get him the ball, but you're also trying to make sure that he doesn't mess up a play, because what can happen is if you send him on a post route and he makes the wrong route, he cuts in a little bit too short or it goes a little bit too high, that's an interception, that's a pick six, and that's something that you want to avoid. So what they're doing with JMO is they're playing it slow and they're trying to get him up to speed because he hasn't played enough snaps. That's the biggest thing. He has to go play snaps, and that's how he's going to get better. So Tyler's out for the rest of the time. So we're gonna go to all right. All right, so he's gonna be out. So JMO, he's got to get better, got to get a lot better. So we're gonna get to see what he can do moving forward. Steve says JMO needs to catch the ball, toss his weight, no drops. That's interesting. Yeah, the drop wasn't good on his end. Let's see the comments. Timing and I like Mike Fisher's comment. Timing and chemistry are paramount in Goff, and JMO haven't had that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, obviously, the Lions got to get better. JMO and Goff have to build a chemistry. That's the main thing. They have to build a chemistry. They have to get better together, because the only way that this is going to work is if they get better together. So we're going to see a lot about that. So let's see more comments. Brian Dusenberry says, I think we need to relax on the JMO thing. In JMO, in my opinion, is a tactical nuke. Why show off all your weapons at the beginning of the season? He's going to be good. I think we all need to relax on the JMO thing. I agree. The whole thing comes back to this JMO quote from Ben Johnson, where he says that he has good days, he has bad days. He can't stack the good days on top of each other since his arrival. That's why we mentioned it, and that's mainly the reason we mentioned it. Let's see the more comments. We have more comments. Donald says, does Laporta play Sunday? Even if it's not the whole game, he's listed as questionable. The injury report will come out tomorrow. We'll see more about it tomorrow if he's gonna be questionable, if he's gonna play. So that'll be interesting. And then Mike Fisher again. Mike Fisher's bringing up the good points. He's doing a really good job of bringing up points the whole time. He said JMO being banned from workouts and practices is really set this all back. So I want to welcome back my co-host Tyler because he is back in the saddle again. He wanted to leave, but he can't leave. It's Hotel California.
Internet's being ass and it's being annoying, but I'm trying to fight through this shit here, so we're good. Hey, this is our weekly screw spectrum, right?
You feel. Yeah, well, this screw spectrum. Now, I was talking about when you left. I was talking about we were talking about JMO. A lot of people have comments about JMO. Sure. They need to relax, or that Jameis needs to catch the ball, or that JMO and Goff need to build a chemistry. What's overall, like, what's your thought? I know we got your thoughts earlier, but like, what do you need to see out of JMO in the next couple weeks?
Yeah, no, I get that. And like, I mean, my thoughts on JMO better than anybody because we've talked about it so much. And I even talk about him when we're like not even talking about him, right? So like I've always, like, if you guys listen to the pod or you watch our videos, like, that I'm high on JMO and that I'm a fan of his skill set. I'm trying my best to not be like a homer and totally like kiss his ass and say, yeah, everything's going great. He's awesome. You guys need to relax, give him time. I do think that because of the lack of practice reps and the lack of game reps and the game time, like, it's still not fair to really like say what this guy can or can't be because he just simply does not have the reps. Like, he is what I need to see from JMO. Honestly, to answer your question, I need to see JMO play 65 snaps and then ask me that question next week. That's what I need. I need to see what JMO looks like in a full game. I need to see what JMO looks like with a game plan. I need to see what JMO looks like in a coherent offense and actually being like a part of something that's bigger. And then after that, after he plays 60 snaps in a single game, re-ask me that question, because as of right now, I just need to see the dude get some damn targets. I need to see him play. I need to see him on the field. I need to see number 9 lined up at the line of scrimmage, running routes, making plays. Like, I just need to see him play.
Yeah, and I think I read a stat yesterday about how Jameson Williams only has 106 snaps played, and there's rookies this year.
Career, there's guys that get that in 2 weeks.
Well, Jordan Addison has I think he has 220, and he's a rookie. Zay Flowers, I think, has like 260. So all these guys are playing meaningful snaps, and they're going to get better. But you have to give JMO time because he hasn't played enough snaps to literally quantify an opinion on what he is. So let's get to I think we got. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you, Tyler. So this is the most big plays through week 5. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins, the juggernaut that they are with Tyreek Hill and everything, they have 48 big plays. The Detroit Lions have 40. They are second in the NFL, only ahead of the 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens, and imagine that, the Chicago Bears. What do you take away from this? Because I can't even understand it.
No, Miami they're the fastest team in the league. They might be the fastest team in NFL history. They are really explosive. Mike McDaniels is weird as hell, but he is like cool and people like playing for him, and they just got some like weird swag going on. Like, Miami Dolphins are cooking right now. But the Detroit Lions, man, it's actually surprising because the reason I say surprising is because so many people, like including myself, have shit on Goff for being like having no arm, and he is very slow in the pocket. He's not like mobile by any means. That guy is a statue. But the fact that we can have a statue with a like average arm goes to show that the guys on our offense, our weapons, are really good. Our offensive line is really good, and our offensive play caller or play callers with Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell are really good. Like, I think that we're scheming up really well. We're playing very smart ball. And something that you bring up a lot, or have brought up a lot, about Jared Goff, and that I think is playing one of the reasons why we're 4-1 is that he's playing smart ball, he's playing efficient ball, and he's just not turning the ball over. He's not trying to be Josh Allen and throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and 3 picks. He's doing his job, he's doing it efficiently, he's doing it well, and he's just doing what they're asking of him. Hey, man, hit the intermediate routes, hit the short routes. Once in a while, chuck it down to Khalif or Josh Reynolds or whoever. Like, he's taking his shots very carefully, and that stat right there shows to me more of our we're taking advantage of the opportunity when we can take our shots, instead of just forcing it, because that just screams efficiency to me, because we don't have guys that necessarily are like field stretchers, like, necessarily. I mean, we got like Khalif, and obviously once JMO gets working, but we got a lot of guys like Amon Ra and Josh Reynolds and Brock Wright and David Montgomery, who, like, sure, they're quick, but they're not field burners, and they're making big plays. So, like, we're in a position right now where we're taking our shots carefully, and that's what you need to see. Like, that's championship football.
What's great right now? We're not lagging. Like, something must have happened. Yeah. Okay. So a Facebook user, I'm sorry if I'm reading your comment. I don't know who you are. It comes up on the StreamYard as Facebook user. So if just give us their name if you're in one of the groups, and we'll give you the credit. He says, definitely think Bucks and Ravens are our 2 hardest teams on the schedule. I'm looking forward to watching the Ravens live on Sunday. What are you going to What are you going to London? Now, I think it's interesting, Tyler, because I think this is one thing that we haven't talked about. We talked about a lot with JMO and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how I'm scared of Buccaneers this week. And I'm trying to figure out if they're going to win or they're going to lose. But one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about is I think we need to talk about the quarterback comparison between these two teams this week, because I know Baker Mayfield gets a lot of hate, but he's been playing pretty damn good. And if you look at those stats, obviously Goff has been much better, much better. But you look at touchdowns, interceptions, Goff has 9. He has 3 interceptions, touchdowns 7-2. He's been sacked least amount of times, and his quarterback rating is right there. So
it's really not a ton different, really. I mean, I think what that says too, that is the the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is really good. I always thought Baker got sacked a lot.
Does this spell how bad the Cleveland Browns could have been?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Because we talk about Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland, right? And that has not been good at all.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. And I was a Baker guy when he was coming out. I thought he was very talented. I don't know what it is. It's like something about Cleveland. It's kind of like how Detroit was for a lot of years. If you go there, you just die. Just suck and die.
Well, I used to love Kevin Stefanski as a head coach, but I don't know what. Sometimes he calls some just random ass plays. But I know Nick Chubb lost his leg. Rest in peace to my fantasy football team. But at the same time, like, Deshaun Watson was in Houston and he was doing a pretty damn good job. Now, he might not be able to go to his massage parlors like he used to be, but the reality of the situation is, like, Baker comes out of Cleveland, he goes to LA for Carolina for a quick stint. We know what they are. They're kind of like a trash organization too. He goes to LA, he kind of balls out for a minute. He doesn't help us out and get us in the playoffs. Thank you, Baker. Screw you. And then he goes to Tampa Bay, where they actually have like an identity. And he's playing really, really well with the team that really can't run the ball.
Yeah, no, it's strange. Like I said, I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. Like, he was picked ahead of a lot of big names. Obviously, everyone in that draft, but Josh Allen is one that comes to mind. Lamar Jackson too, I think. And he just was. Like, he's playing good ball, and the Tampa Bay offensive line is looking really, really sharp. He's only been sacked 3 times all year. I thought our line was great by not letting Goff get sacked very many times. But this dude's been sacked 3 times all season, so he's seeing the ball well. He's getting the ball out quick, and he's balling, man. So that's kind of goes in line with my theory of, like, most players, like, the great play. I feel like a lot of really good or a lot of really great players, they benefit from the situation they go into, right? Like, I always said this, like, Patrick Mahomes is a special talent, right? But is he Patrick Mahomes if he goes to the Bears? Is he Patrick Mahomes if he goes to the Jets when the Jets were as bad as they were?
No,
Is he the same guy? If he goes to Cleveland, like
no.
you have to be in a position that allows you to play your kind of football and allows you the creativity and allows you to really like play your best ball. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs were like 13-3 and 12-4 and 11-5. I mean, some of those seasons that Alex Smith was at the helm. And they have Andy freaking Reid, dude. Andy Reid's like a top 5 coach of all time. So, and this show is not about Mahomes or the Chiefs. I'm not going there. I'm just saying a lot of these guys, when they are in an organization that is a straight dumpster fire, no one could be good there. I mean, so this, you might be in a situation, and I wrap this up to the Lions, is you might be in a situation where you're going to see Baker play his type of ball and his brand of football, and that's why he could be dangerous, especially at home this Sunday against the Lions. So it'll be a really good game, man. I'm going to be like really excited. I'm going to be watching a lot of the details on this game, and I'm going to have to get your subscription, man, so I can check this all 22 after this game too, because I'm excited.
For sure. Now call us. He says, what cornerbacks do you think are legit targets for us at the deadline?
Damn it! I knew someone was going to ask me. Bro.
Everybody's been asking this, and look, I'm gonna be completely honest with people right now. I know people are mentioning Patrick Surtain. Okay, we just went over it just a few segments ago, but we'll rehash it. There's a lot of people that like Patrick Surtain, right? There's a lot of people that like Max.
Sure. Yeah, I love Patrick Surtain.
Right, and men, I'll trade for him any day and get him off that hellhole Denver. But the reality of the situation is, if you're the Denver Broncos or you're the Vegas Raiders, those are two names that Max Crosby and Patrick Surtain that Lions fans are gravitating to. Don't hurt your heart, because it's not going to happen. It's like saying, like, I want to go on a date with Blake Lively, right? But then I realize that she dates Ryan Reynolds, so I have no shot at that whatsoever. So you kind of got to temper your expectations on what you expect out of the deadline. Now, a couple players that I will name on the cornerback route. You can go Adoree Jackson with New York. You can go. I know the Vikings could be sellers. Maybe you go a Harrison Smith at the safety position.
Would you at all throw in like a Stephon Gilmore in there with his brother being here? Maybe.
Well, Dallas is not going to trade him away.
And so, I think he really wanted to be there in Dallas. So it's like,
I don't think that's going to be the case. And then if you look at the teams that are selling, like the Giants, the Panthers, the Broncos, outside, they really don't have good cornerbacks that you could really covet. So outside of Adoree Jackson, outside of Dante Jackson in Carolina, or J.C. Horn or one of those guys, I think you're kind of stuck in the middle right now. And if you can get some cornerback depth, maybe someone's offering a slot corner or something, that's what you can gravitate towards too. But I don't think you're going to go out there and get some big name.
Well, what you have to remember too, guys, is like, and I try to think this way lately more too, is that like the players have to, they have to want to leave. They have to want to uproot their family. B, the team has to be willing to let that player go. And for C, the team has to get back what they think is fair compensation for that player. Like there's a lot that has to be involved. There's guys that are on shitty teams that just because they're on a shitty team doesn't mean they're unhappy. Like Kirk Cousins, he pretty much publicly stated he does not want to move his family away from Minnesota right now. He'll readdress the situation in the offseason. He
did not say no. He did not say no. He did not say no. He said, that's not my focus right now. You know what that means?
I've also seen reports that said him and his family really like being in Minnesota and that he has no intentions on leaving.
Now, Brian brings up a good point, and this is what I want to talk about more with you, Tyler, because I think people need to really get on board with this. And if they're not on board, I think they need to get on board. He says, I think Jared Goff gets underrated for how good of a quarterback he is because he is a game manager, which I don't think is entirely true. I think he's a good game manager. I don't really think that's true. I don't think he's a good game manager. He says he doesn't have to throw for 400 or 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. What it is makes him a good quarterback. What makes our team a good team because we have a game manager. We have really good weapons around him. I just want to say this to the people out there. I think you should get ready for a Jared Goff extension. I do.
And I'm the guy who was saying like beforehand, Like
You were a
I wanna,
total hater. We know that. We know.
but no, seriously, like no, like the more I think about it too, and I'm more on the side of Brian with like, do you think that like Goff is kind of like he's like an elevated game manager? Like he's not like you're like, I mean, it's not like he has no talent. He was number one overall pick, and he's played well. He's played good football. But his physical traits aren't going to wow you. He's not going to jump off the charts and like, oh my God, look at that rip. Look at that 70-yard bomb. Look at that scramble. Like, look at the way he evaded that pocket. Look at the way he did any of this. He's smart, and I think that's the biggest thing. And he's finally playing with full confidence. Sean McVay did not allow him to play as his full confident self. So I don't think he had an opportunity to really show who he was. I think that the team, the GM, the coaches, everyone really loves him and gravitates towards him. Jared Goff has ended up being one of the most important, if not the most important parts of this turnaround. He's absolutely going to get an extension. Absolutely, 100%. And I think it starts at the Daniel Jones contract.
Yeah, here's the thing I'll say about this with Jared Goff. I think that Jared Goff is much more than a game manager. I think he's a guy that can go win you games when you need to. I think that he possesses a level of leadership that you can't really put a value on. I think that he possesses a level of accountability that you can't put a level on. And I think that there's one thing about Jared Goff that a lot of people really didn't expect from Jared Goff, and that's how gritty he is, and that's how tough he is, and that's in how he'll be willing to make the play in the pocket. Look, Tom Brady was not the most talented quarterback, right? Tom Brady was not a talented quarterback from the standpoint of he didn't have the strongest arm. He couldn't move out of the pocket. Either did Peyton Manning couldn't move out of the pocket, but they had this smarts to them. They had the abilities to make plays downfield. And I think Jared Goff kind of comes from the same line. Now, the one quarterback that I really want you to pay attention to is Brock Purdy, because I don't think Brock Purdy gets enough credit either. They think he's a game manager or whatever the hell it is. There's throws that Jared Goff makes that are not game manager level. Game manager level is like Derek Carr, right?
Blake Bortles back in the day, Jameis Winston. I mean, not even he was throwing hella picks, but your Alex Smiths, your Desmond Ritters, and some could argue Alex Smith too, because that guy could throw some cannon shots.
Yeah, Alex Smith was a guy that, but he's kind of a different guy.
But Gardner Minshew, I mean, guys like that, those are your game managers.
Now, Cola says, I can foresee a 2-year extension with a good battle with Hooker. I just don't see it. I
think at least 4.
I don't. First of all, I think that was the worst pick of Brad Holmes' tenure, was the Hendon Hooker pick. Not because, for 2 reasons. Number one, I am a closet Tennessee fan. And I am a closet Tennessee fan. So Hendon Hooker is a guy who, how do I say this? He's Oppo Golf. He will hit some long balls, but there are some short intermediate routes that he will not he won't connect on. Now, I don't know who it is. I don't know who this is, a Facebook user. He says Goff and those are not in the same conversation. Once again, you people are forgetting you're not even understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's quarterbacks like Tom Brady who can't scramble the pocket. There's guys like Peyton Manning who can't scramble the pocket. Tom Brady didn't have the strongest arm in the NFL, and he still got it done. What I'm trying to say is, would you classify Tom Brady as a game manager because he played to the system that he plays in? No.
Right. Well, and I know that, and don't get it confused. Like Tom Brady,
it's Woody. Yeah, Woody.
Don't get it confused. Tom Brady is obviously a top 3. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks in NFL history, in my opinion. So obviously, yes, Goff is not a top 5 quarterback, but you can win games without having the strongest arm or possessing these outworldly physical traits.
Right.
One thing that Jared Goff, his strongest asset is his mind, his IQ, and his leadership. And I for a long time I was very much excited to see, hey, can we get a guy with a strong and powerful arm and that can maybe be a little bit mobile and do something with the ball?
We had that guy though. This is what people don't get.
I've changed my mind because like you said, I remember you saying and making a very specific point about how a couple, GMs and scouts would say, look, it is way easier to get worse at quarterback than it is to get better.
A lot of people ask why the Giants paid Daniel Jones the money that they paid him.
Because they didn't want someone shittier.
And what?
They didn't want someone shittier.
Well, no, that's exactly the point. And then what does it tell your team if you win a playoff game with that quarterback and you say, we can get better? Sometimes you can't. Like, sometimes you just can't. Like, I know the Rams got better with Stafford as their quarterback, but that's because that's a minuscule. Look at Aaron Rodgers, right? He gets traded to the Jets, doesn't work out. Obviously, with the injury, it's a little bit iffy. The Broncos trade for Russell Wilson, and it's totally different. You know, he's not the same quarterback he was in Seattle. So what I'm saying is, you can get worse at quarterback, thinking that you're going to get better, but ultimately, like, you're not getting anywhere unless you're drafting a guy like Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes. Like, you're not getting better.
I'm pretty sure the Browns won 11 games with Baker that year he went off. It was somewhere around there, 10 or 11.
Now, Brian clarifies his comments. He says, what I mean by a game manager is Jared Goff is not going to rush for 70 or 80 yards in a game and throw for 500 yards. I mean, what quarterback does? But Jared Goff is a smart quarterback who can win games and throw the ball when you need him to. I think that a lot of people think that a quarterback needs to be like Patrick Mahomes, or, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is one of the only quarterbacks in the league that I think can run for 80 yards and throw for 500. Am I wrong?
No, Josh Allen maybe on a really good day.
Well, yeah, Josh Allen. Mahomes and Allen are aliens, okay? Like, we have right. It's funny all this alien stuff comes out after we see Mahomes, after we see Josh Allen, because they're freaks of nature.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think that, like, everyone that says, like, oh, you can run for 80 yards, you can pass for 500 yards, ultimately, like, I don't think you're going to get a guy like that. Like, I mean, I know people love Lamar Jackson, but as Lamar Jackson as a quarterback in the pocket, is he as good as he is Lamar Jackson, the athletic freak that he is? I don't know.
I feel bad for that guy, man.
Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, dude. I've seen like seven beautiful balls last week against the Steelers that literally smacked his dudes right in the fucking hands. Like, I felt bad. I did. I felt bad for him. Like, I hardly ever look at other teams and feel bad for their quarterback, but dude, that guy was throwing dots and they were just falling right through their fingers. I'm like, wow.
Lamar Jackson is one of those quarterbacks that I think, like, if he had better weapons around him, could he be like an elite quarterback? Because I think elite quarterbacks are thrown around way too much. I think there's like only like 3 or 4 in the league right now, to be honest. And so, ultimately, you just got to look at all that and say, like, Lamar Jackson, the wide receivers they haven't been good enough for him. I don't know what they're doing in Baltimore. They got Odell Beckham, and he's still struggling to hit players in stride. So,
yeah, well, I mean, we got this. We got a big game coming up, man. So I'm excited to see what.
Now, I want to get you before we wrap this puppy up and everything.
No, you're good. I actually wanted I was going to ask you something quick, actually.
All right, what you going to ask me?
I was going to say, with our team being so young, like, I'm excited. Well, it's kind of a statement / question. I'm excited to see what we can do against a, like, fully, like, seasoned veteran defense. And if you think that, like, that's something that these young guys are going to be able to adjust to because they have youth and athleticism on their side, or is this going to be a game where we struggle because they do have the experience and they have the veterans on that team to, like, really put up a fight. Like, I don't think this is gonna be just a layover game, dude. I think this is gonna be a really tough game.
So you're talking about the defense struggling or the offense struggling?
I guess, I mean, I would say that there's more, like, veteran leadership on the defense, but I mean, I guess on both sides of the ball, because with having Goff at the helm, I think that helps against, like, a veteran defense.
Yeah.
But, like, everyone else on the team, dude, we're one of the youngest teams in the league. So going against, like, a veteran, savvy, experienced team, just, like, what are your thoughts on how much leadership and age and, like, experience is gonna, like, play into this game?
Well, with Tampa Bay, man, like, they're a different team. Like, this is why I'm scared of it, because you got the Super Bowl pedigree. The Super Bowl pedigree didn't leave them. You know what I'm saying? They still got that championship type caliber talent with Devin White, with Levante David, with Shaquille Barrett, with Vita Vea. Antoine Winfield at the safety position. They got some good players on the defense. Now, the one thing that you can do, I think that one player that really kind of gets underrated in the NFL is Carlton Davis, their cornerback. He's a really good cornerback. I think that the Zion McCallum kid that they got from Sam Houston State, I believe. I'm such a nerd with that. Sam Houston State. I think he's a good player. I think that he's been really good for that team, and they're getting takeaways, and that just shows you how good they are. I think that defense can present some problems. I think that if Jonah Jackson isn't a full go, that could hurt Detroit. And I think that if ultimately the third thing is when you asked about the leadership, I think that really plays into every game. Like if you have veteran leadership, like people wonder why did we bring Alex Anzalone back? The reason we brought Alex Anzalone back is because he provides a veteran leadership in that young linebacker locker room. People like why did the Lions try to go after Calais Campbell? Well, they tried to go after Calais Campbell because he's a good player, but also they went after Calais Campbell because he's a veteran leader in that defensive line locker room.
Yeah.
So, and why did they go after Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Well, leadership. You know, why they go after Cameron Sutton? Leadership. You're always trying to get leaders around every room in your area. Like Marvin Jones. I know people don't think Marvin Jones is anything great, but the reality of the situation is he's a good ass person to have in that young wide receiver locker room where they can say, you know, maybe Marvin Jones isn't this great player anymore. Maybe he's not. Right. But he is a good pro. He is a guy that you can count on in the locker room, and that counts for a lot. That really, really does.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that that's why, like I said that earlier when we were talking, I think that's why this game may be a harder one than we think because of those reasons. But nonetheless, two teams with one loss, like colliding at 4 o'clock primetime game in Tampa. It's going to be warm out. Like this should be a lot of fun, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting what they do. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be
You know what? Quick little tidbit here. With it being warm out and then being prime time, hey, what a perfect time to let JMO stretch his legs, like homie was saying earlier.
Yeah, if there's a game where you can stretch them out, I think this is a game because
it's probably going to be sunny and 80 degrees, man.
Well, no, not just that, because they run a cover 3. Tampa predominantly runs a cover 3. They run a cover 3. I think it's like 70 to 80% of the time, right? So attacking cover 3, you're either going, you know, with speed or you're going across the middle trying to attack the hidden zones. And I think that that's what they're going to try to do ultimately. And I think that this could be a game where Jameson Williams goes and gets a couple catches. If Sam Laporta is not playing, I think that will give Jameson Williams some shots downfield, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just like I said, man, the game that he's able to get above 50 snaps is when we can start questioning that. But in the meantime, unless he's getting 50 snaps, just don't even ask. Because I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think so. There's some comments. Let's see what we got. He says our offense has the age where they need an offensive line. That's true. Mike Fisher, this guy's coming in with the hit.
Yeah,
man. This guy's
but there could be a couple of veterans out of that group that are going to be missing time.
Sam Laporta, we won't know if Sam Laporta is questionable or not until tomorrow's injury report at 4 o'clock. That's when you'll kind of learn. I imagine he might be questionable. Now I don't like it, but you know, whatever. Mike Fisher says we need to establish the run early to open play action.
We have been over here.
Yeah. And then let's see. We got a couple more comments. I think Tom, going back to the Goff situation, he said I think the Lions did the right thing in getting Goff. To be honest, I think the first sign of things changing started with that trade. Now we're in playoff talks, being top 5, etc., etc. Steve comes back again with the Goff has been to the big show and he knows what it takes. Again, that's what I'm talking about.
Which hold on with that, guys. The last comment. By the way, for those of you who don't know, what Tom brought up being top 5, we are in the NFL's top 5 power rankings, probably for the first time since 2011 or 2014. And
I don't care. I really don't care about power rankings or
No, but
anything.
it's pretty damn cool to be in the top 5 of the power rankings. It is.
But I would like to get home field advantage, but I know the 49ers might get it. So we're just.
But you know what? How many times have we never even gotten love from the NFL? You know, we've had seasons where we're 11-5, and
the Lions have been so bad that you really can't ask for any love.
That's awesome, man. I love it.
I mean, this is what I don't get. Like people ask like, "Oh, Lions don't get any love." They haven't earned any love from the national fan media. I mean, we see the Cowboys get slobbed on all the time. You know, like oh my God, the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Oh, like stop. Like that's what the national media does. Now, if you turn on ESPN, they're going to talk about LeBron. They're going to talk about the Cowboys,
Taylor Swift,
Giants, the Jets. You know, Stephen A. Smith is going to be talking about the stupid ass Knicks that I don't even really need to talk about.
Don't forget about Taylor Swift, bro. They're going to talk about her and how many times.
Oh yeah, that's the new thing. The Taylor Swift. Now Sam Laporta is going to take Taylor Swift from Travis Kelce because Sam Laporta is a really good guy. All right. Darcy brings up a good point from the Detroit Lions news show that he has on the Detroit Lions news page. He says, "Remember, 8 defensive current Bucks have a ring." And
I brought that up earlier. This is a Super Bowl winning defense.
So Darcy, he wins a cookie. Now I have to thank Darcy because he took me to the Lions game with the Panthers. What a great guy that guy is. He's my Canadian brother. Now he's great. I love him, and Woody too. Woody's in the comments too. So we're doing good. Mike Fisher says, "I love being underestimated." Yeah, I think that's just a Detroit kind of thing, though. We like.
But you know what? Well, you know what I got to say about that too is that when we start not being the underdogs and we start not being underestimated, you have to learn how to play and how to win being that too. Sometimes that can be just as hard, honestly. It sounds stupid, but when you're up at that level, and you're not the underdog anymore, and all the pressure in the world is for you to always perform and do well, you have to learn how to play under that too. So if we continually win and we become a perennial winning franchise, we have to learn how to handle that week to week and play like it. Mute.
That's why. Best thing about Goff, he's at the $33 million a year. With the extension, it'll probably be around 40 to 42. Barely a bigger cap hit when it'll probably rise to 16.5, which would put him around Dak or slightly underpaid. Nothing. They couldn't be wrong with that. I always tell people, I know people don't like to hear this, but usually your quarterback takes up 15% of the cap anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think that we're going to be looking at a Daniel Jones-esque contract. You're going to be starting at about the 4 years, 165 mark around Goff.
Now, where the hell are you going now?
I got to go plug. Since my laptop wouldn't work, I got to plug my phone in so I can do my closing thoughts because that sucker drains my battery.
That sucker! Why didn't you bring the freaking charger with you?
I got to set it up right on the laptop. Like I said, I'm going to call Spectrum and rip them a new ass because I can't use anything on my Wi-Fi right now.
That is bullcrap. Now, there's a couple more things I want to get to before we end the show. I don't know if you heard Michael Lombardi's tweets, but we'll get to that right now. He said that, "I admit I have not been a huge fan of Lions head coach Dan Campbell's approach on biting kneecaps motivation. It was too high schoolerish for me. I prefer the more intellectual approach of reading the players, but I was wrong." He goes on, "What I've learned in the last year and a half is Campbell and his staff can do both. They can play chess and their game plans and still get the players to play their best, which is the ultimate challenge. Since the start of November 2022, the Lions are 12-3 and improving." He goes on. He goes, "That defensive front can take over games, something they didn't have last season. They are fun to watch. They have a winning formula similar to the San Francisco 49ers on offense, which is set up by their run game, and which leads into their play action passing game." He goes on. This is long. He goes, "Last week, without their 2 best offensive players, they dominated the Panthers, and in a 9.5 closing number was never in doubt. Their defense can complement their offense with the ability to rush the passer and extend leads." He goes on. "Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson can create havoc for opposing tackles with his skill combined with his relentless effort. The Lions team dominating isn't a fluke." He goes on. "They are for real, and are one of the few teams that have a legitimate chance to play in a Super Bowl for the first time in their franchise history." What the hell do you think about that?
No, man. I mean, that right there is kind of wrapped up what I was talking about we're gaining respect. We're gaining love. We're earning it. I think, dude, something does feel special about this. I mean, I think like me and you, we talked all off season about something feels different. Something feels special. There's something brewing. The culture is changing. Like these guys, everybody laughed at Dan Campbell those first like couple stretches of the beginning of his career, like his first 2 seasons, right? They're like, oh, this guy is just a over glorified cheerleader. This guy is all rah rah, no,
Yeah.
all bark, no bite. Like they dogged this guy, and they called him stupid for making some of his aggressive decisions, which sometimes I do agree he needs to maybe dial it back a little bit, but regardless, he's still. I'd rather have a guy that's aggressive and confident. But you know, it's finally these guys are eating their words and they're eating crow and they're coming back around and saying, "Hey, look, you know what? We were wrong. Like this guy knows what he's doing." And that goes to show why there was people calling for Dan Campbell's head after season 2. They wanted him fired. They wanted him gone. They didn't want anything to do with him. You have to give a guy a chance. You have to give them at least 3 years to get their guys, implement their culture, implement their system. And the fact that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell got hired together and like we're able to grow from the bottom together and like learn about each other. Like these guys are peanut butter and jelly now, and all the Dan Campbell haters are hiding in the woods. Like I love it, man. He's proven them wrong.
Yeah, I put a video out yesterday. I said like, yeah, this team is legit, and you can see what's going to happen. And when JMO gets up to speed, when Jameer Gibbs gets back, when he gets into his kind of game, I think they're going to be good. Now, I want to get into something because Mike Fisher said something that really just baffles my mind. I'm not even gonna lie. He said the last 6 years, Jared Goff is #1 against the spread. #1. Now I gotta look that up, but that is a freaking interesting stat. Man, Mike Fisher, this guy's bringing the heat today. He is freaking Randy Johnson out here. Like this
Yeah,
guy,
this guy's yeah,
this guy better. This guy, screw it. You know what, Mike Fisher? Go talk to the Braves. They need a pitcher right now that can throw the heat because right now they be throwing gopher balls to Bryce Harper. Now, we talked about Super Bowl like Michael Lombardi's tweets. He's a former general manager. He was a scout with the 49ers or whatever. It's very interesting what he says about that, and it was just so interesting because I didn't think that he was I didn't think that he was I didn't think he was that I thought it was a really crazy point, to be honest.
well, yeah, it just goes to show that like, dude, like the people that were, like I said, the people that were dogging on him and shitting on him, everybody wants to laugh at us, man. Everybody wants to make fun of us. They want to attack our style. They want to, you're always like, just like anything in life, you're always crazy until it works. Then you're a genius and everyone loves you. You know what I mean? It was easy to hate on Dan when he was 1-12 to start his career, but our team was absolute dog shit. Like you're good. He took his time and he, decided to instill what he wanted to. He didn't like let it derail him that they started off shitty. Like he knew him and Brad knew they had a 3-year plan, and we've been talking about this for the last 2.5 seasons about it's not year 1, it's not year 2. You will start to see things year 3 and year 4 that will cement what's going on. It takes a while, bro. It's a lag. Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn set this franchise back multiple years. And the fact that we were able to get a rapid acceleration, I'm surprised they did it this quick, to be honest. People are like, oh, well, you had long enough. No, I'm surprised that they did it. They did it this freaking fast because what Quinn Trisha did to this franchise should be criminalized. They should be put in prison. They set this team back, should have been 5, 6, 7 years, and we got it back under control within 3. That's phenomenal, dude. For real.
It is phenomenal, and I want to get your closing thoughts before we get done with this because we've been going so long that I almost cramped up. That was pretty wild. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of different closing thoughts from time to time, especially as the weeks go on. I mean, especially in different points of the season where you're kind of just thinking about the same stuff, right? I want to, continue to ride the momentum. I think that something we're going to see this game is going to be, we're going to have to be smarter than the opposing team. Like I brought up earlier, and like Darcy brought up as well, they have 8 players that he was more specific about it. They have 8 players that got a ring on that defense. You have to outsmart a really smart defense, and you have to play the game at a very high level mentally. and not let, silly mistakes get to you. We haven't made many mistakes this year. We haven't been very boneheaded this year. We've been a very disciplined team that's been on top of their shit. So the fact that that's already a good sign. And then as long as we can take that momentum and we can continue to play that way and play smart football, we'll be fine. We're playing above our years. I mean, guys like Amon Ra, who's in his third or fourth season, is playing like a 12-year vet. You got guys on our old line. Panay Sewell just had his birthday. I think he just turned 23. That guy plays like a 12-year vet. You got guys on your team that just handle themselves and conduct themselves and play like we're not used to seeing on this Detroit Lions team. So if you continue to be level, be smart, and not shoot yourself in the foot, we have a very good chance to win every game we go into. I think a lot of young teams, that's where they lack, is that discipline and that maturity and playing the game the right way. And I think that's one blueprint that Brad and Dan have when they're looking at players is, are these guys going to come in and provide leadership and play the right way? So we have been so far, so let's keep that shit up. And I'm going to end my closing thoughts. I'm going to go 20, 28, 24 Lions. I'm going to try to be optimistic.
All right.
I also think this could be a 24-21 Buccaneers game, but I'm going to go optimistic, go for the away team here. We're going to go 28-24 Lions.
So my closing thoughts, originally I was going to go with like the whole Super Bowl thing because I see Michael Lombardi's tweets, but I want people to realize how good these two players are going to be. So I talked about it earlier. I'm actually going to make a video showcasing this, but let's look at Aiden Hutchinson and his tackles. 15 tackles, 12 solo tackles, 3 assisted tackles, 4.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, and 4 passes defended. For a defensive end, that's pretty damn good. Now let's go to Sam Laporta. Targets 31, receptions 25, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, catch percentage of 80.6. 25 of his receptions have gone for 14 first downs. He's had 1 drop, which is 3.2%, and he's the only tight end in the top 30 in receiving yards. So you're asking what's my main objective here? What's my main talking point? I think that you could have a rookie of the year, and I think you can have a defensive player of the year, because if you look at these projections, 105 targets for Sam Laporta, 85 receptions, 983 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 45 first downs. For Aiden Hutchinson, he'd be 51 total tackles, 41 solo tackles. He would have 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions, and 14 passes defended. And I think he's on track for about 14 and a half sacks.
15 and a half.
15 and a half. Okay. Well, that didn't show in that graphic. So what I'm saying is I think that this team has some special players on it. I think a lot of people, you go into a season and you kind of wonder who's going to be the guys that step up. Is it going to be like a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, or is it going to be a guy like Jameson Williams, or is it going to be this guy or this guy? I think with Aiden Hutchinson, he has become your defensive leader. We all know that. And I think that offensively, Sam Laporta has really helped your offense kind of get off the ground. And I think that Sam Laporta really, the trust that Jared Goff has him as a young rookie tight end, and what you hear about all these tight ends like Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski talking all of this mad stuff about Sam Laporta, saying that he's going to be a great tight end, and even George Kittle saying, tight end U, Iowa, which it's so baffling because they had Sam Laporta and they couldn't score 21 points a game. But it's for another conversation. But this Lions team, you always, if you're gonna have a good year, you have to have guys that are unexpected to have great years. And at Aiden Hutchinson, we expected him to take the next step up, but we didn't expect Sam Laporta to be as good as he is right now. We didn't expect it. So if this team can get a little bit better with JMO coming back, gets more reps, gets more snaps, and then JMO starts to become a really huge piece of this puzzle, opens up Sam Laporta, opens up Amon-Ra St. Brown, and opens up Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. So this Detroit Lions team, for the first time in a long time, you could say they have the right pieces in place to be competitive in the whole NFC and maybe even a Super Bowl.
I like the way that sounds, man. Super Bowl champions, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
So let's go with some scores from these people. Mike Fisher says 27-17 Lions. Donald says 24-21 Lions. And then Tom says so far everyone has stepped up in every point. It's a point a game, hence that's 4-1 record. Mike Fisher goes back to my point. Iowa quarterbacks suck, and he's happy now, so that's good.
Yeah, Petrus was a dumpster fire.
All right, everyone, thank you for watching. And if you're on the podcast, you can listen to the podcast, the Detroit Lions News podcast.
You almost tried to sneak away without a score.
Well, I'm going to get my score later. I need to see the injury report.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's like that. All right.
Yeah. I don't know why you were giving your score. We usually give our scores the day before the game.
I know. I just I got a feeling about this one. I'm gonna put $5 that that's the exact score.
That will win you some money. Now I will be coming out with my game preview probably tomorrow, like late tomorrow, on the Detroit Lions News page. We're gonna have the parlay of the day. It's gonna come back. Now if Sam Laporta is questionable, that really screws my parlay, but we will see what that happens. Thank you for everyone who watched and everyone who's listening on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, Odyssey, whatever. And we will see you guys on the next podcast. Actually, and we might do a post-game podcast depending on how things go, because we need to get back to that, Tyler. And we will see you guys in the next podcast as we talk about more Detroit Lions football. And this is Joe, and that's Tyler, and we will see you in the next podcast. See you, everyone.